Since DeepSeek arrived, it has created a huge buzz in AI world. So it is offering powerful cutting-edge language models like never before. And in this course, you will learn how to use the power of DeepSeek in Flutter to build custom chatbots and assistant applications from scratch. So throughout this course, we will be building exciting real-world chatbots like a medical assistant, a meal planner, and an AI career advisor. And each chatbot will have powerful features including a professional and modern chat application UI, speech recognition to understand voice commands, name 3 superfoods for weight loss, text-to-speech to respond naturally.
Great question. Here are 3 superfoods that can support weight loss due to their high nutrient density.
Lottie animations for dynamic and polished experience, a chat history feature, and much more. So by the end of this course, you will be able to build AI-powered chatbots and assistant applications in Flutter from scratch. Plus, you will be able to integrate chatbots into your existing applications effortlessly. And don't worry, you don't need any previous experience in Flutter or AI to get started. So what are you waiting for? Join the course now and start building the next generation of AI-powered applications with Flutter and DeepSeek. So what is DeepSeek? DeepSeek is a cutting-edge AI platform that offers powerful language models similar to OpenAI's ChatGPT. And these models are designed to understand, generate, and interact with human language in a very smart, natural, and efficient way. So now let's look at some key features of DeepSeek. So the first one is their natural language understanding ability. So as these models can understand human language, so anyone can use them with ease. And the second feature is their fast API access. So as we want to use these models inside our own applications, so for that purpose we need their API. So DeepSeek provide a very simple and easy to use API, so we can easily use these models inside our custom applications. Similarly, it is also very easy to customize their behavior by setting system message. So it means that we can build custom chatbots and assistant applications by customizing their models. Apart from that, we can customize these models by setting system message. So it means that we can build custom chatbots or assistant applications by changing the behavior of these models. And their fourth feature is their multi-turn conversation support. So these models provide the ability to have smart and context-aware conversation. So this is a very useful feature for custom chatbots. Similarly, these models are quite cost-effective as compared to other Gen AI models. So a question arises, why use DeepSeek in Flutter? So as you know, Flutter allows you to build beautiful cross-platform applications for Android, iOS, web and desktop all from a single code base. So when we combine Flutter flexibility with DeepSeek intelligence, we can build powerful AI apps that look amazing and work everywhere. And that's exactly what you are going to learn inside this course. So in the next lectures, we will set up our Flutter environment and start building our first chatbot application using DeepSeek. So what is Flutter? It is an open source framework developed by Google for building mobile, desktop and web applications. In software development, a framework is just like a toolkit for building applications. Imagine it as a recipe for baking a cake. So as recipe gives you the basic steps and ingredients needed to make a cake, the same way Flutter provides the essential tools and resources such as ready-made components and libraries to help you build applications quickly and easily. So a question arises, why should we use Flutter? And the answer is Flutter is cross-platform. So what does that mean? So it means that when you write code in Flutter, the same code can generate Android, iOS, web, macOS and Windows application for you. So you don't need to use different technologies to build applications for all these platforms. You can just learn Flutter and build applications for all these platforms using a single code file. Flutter is one of the most popular technologies for building applications in today's world. Some popular applications built in Flutter includes Alibaba application, eBay Motors, Google Ads, Google Pay, Toyota and so on. And inside this course we are going to use Flutter for building AI-powered smart applications. So let's begin. Hello guys, Hamza here. I just want to let you know that this video is just the first part of our complete Flutter and DeepSeek course. The complete course is around 4 hours long and it includes all source code that we write in this course. Every section has before and after source code, so you can easily code along with me. Apart from that, you will get a certificate upon completion which you can add to your resume. And the course comes with a 30 days money back guarantee. So if you are not satisfied, just simply ask for a refund. So if you are interested, then I will put a link down below and we are offering a huge discount to first 70 students. And now let's continue to the next lecture. Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to set up the environment for Flutter app development. And we are going to do that on Mac operating system. And if you have a Windows, then you can follow the other lecture where we are going to do the environment setup on Windows operating system. And if you already got Flutter and Android Studio set up on your Mac, then you can skip this section and proceed to the next one. But now we are going to start setting up the environment. And the first step is installing or adding Flutter SDK inside our MacBook. So to do that, you can open your favorite browser and there type Flutter. After that, press enter and you will see this first result, which is this www.flutter.dev. So click on this link and the documentation page for Flutter will be opened. And here you can read about the features of Flutter. But we are going to click on this get started button and we will be moved to this screen where we need to select our operating system. So as we got a Mac, so we will select this Mac OS and it will gonna show us this option. And here for now we are going to select iOS, so just select it and it will gonna show us the instructions to do the setup of Flutter on Mac OS. So here you can firstly scroll down and go to the section install the Flutter SDK, and there in the download and install section you will find these two options. So if you got a Mac which has an Intel chip, then you can select this one, and if you got the latest Mac with M1, M2 or M3 chip, then you can download this zip file. So as I got a Mac with an Intel chip, so I will gonna download this one, so click on it and the download will gonna start. So now let's wait for this download to be completed and then we are going to add this SDK inside our MacBook. So now the zip file is downloaded and I got it here. And now we need to put this zip file or this SDK somewhere inside our Mac, and then we need to tell Mac that this is the Flutter SDK and using it we are going to develop Flutter applications. So how we are going to do that? So to do that, open the documentation page again, and here below these download buttons we got some instructions. So there you can see the second instruction is creating a folder where you can install Flutter, and they recommend that inside our home directory we will create a folder with the name development. So what we are going to do is to open our Finder and then we are going to navigate to our home folder. And there we are going to create a new folder. So select new folder here and then name it development. After that, inside this folder, we need to extract that zip file. So there you can see I got it here on desktop. So what I can do is to drag it inside this folder, and then I am going to double tap it to uncompress it. And there you can see we got this Flutter folder. And after getting this Flutter folder, you can delete this zip file. So let's delete it, and that's it. So now we got this Flutter folder inside our development folder. So now after doing that, open the documentation page, and there the next step is adding Flutter to your path. So at this point we have completed these 3 steps. So firstly we downloaded the SDK, and then we created the development folder, and inside it we have put or extracted that zip file. And after that we need to add Flutter to our path. So to run Flutter commands in the terminal, add Flutter to the path environment variables. And to do that, we need to open this file named as zshenv, or there are chances that inside your Mac this file is present with the name zhsrc. So you need to open this file, and then inside this file you need to put this path at the end of this file, and then you need to save that file. And after that, the path of Flutter SDK will be added inside our environment variables. So to do that, you need to firstly check that whether this zshenv file is present or not. And to do that, you can open the terminal, and inside terminal we are right now inside our home folder. So here you need to execute this command ls space al. So press enter, and you will be able to see all the files present inside our home. And there you can see I got this zshrc file. So in your case you will gonna get this file, or you may have this zshenv file. So as I got this file, so I am going to open it. And to open it, we are going to write the command open, and then we need to type the file name, which is zshrc, and in your case it will be zshenv if you got this env file. So press enter. So you can see this .zshrc file is opened, and now inside this file we need to put this path. So you can simply copy this path, and when you will look at it, it is pointing to our development folder, and then inside development we got Flutter, and inside this Flutter we got this bin folder. And if in your case you have put this Flutter folder somewhere else, then you need to specify that path here. But in our case we got it in the home folder, so this is the path which we are going to use. So just simply copy it and then open the file, and after that at the end of this file simply paste it. Now press Command S, and this file will be saved. And after saving the file, just simply close it, and then you can also close this terminal. And now you need to open the terminal again, and here to confirm that Flutter is installed successfully or not, you need to execute a command flutter version. So enter this command and press enter. And you can see this information here. So I got Flutter version 3.16.9, and this is the version which I just installed. So if after running this command you got this information, then it means that you have successfully added Flutter SDK inside your Mac, and Flutter is also added inside your environment variables. So now we can access Flutter from command lines. So now after installing the Flutter SDK, the next step is setting up the Android Studio, because using Android Studio we are going to build our Flutter applications. So in order to install Android Studio, inside your browser type Android Studio and press enter. And there you can see the results. So open this first link, developer.android.com studio. And there you can see this page, and here you will gonna get this download Android Studio button, and this is the latest version of Android Studio available in March 2024. So just click on it and it will gonna show you this agreement screen. So click on this check mark, and then if you got a Mac with Intel chip, then click on this download button, and if you got an Apple chip, then download this one. So as I got this Intel chip, so I will gonna click on it, and there you can see the download started. So now let's wait for this download to be completed. So now the download of Android Studio is completed and we got this DMG file here. So just simply double tap on it and it will gonna show you this window. So here move this Android Studio inside application folder and after that open this launchpad and here you will be able to find Android Studio. So just simply click on it. And then you will get this pop-up. So simply click on this don't send button. And then you will get this welcome Android Studio screen. So here simply click on this next button and then you can select the standard or custom type. So if you will select custom, then you can customize installation settings and components installed. But we will go with this standard, so then click next. And here you will find some SDK components and tools which need to be downloaded. So click next. And then you need to agree for these license, so click on this accept button and then click on this Android SDK ARM and click on accept as well. Then click finish and these components will gonna start downloading, and once they finish our Android Studio will be ready. So there you can see these components are being downloaded and it will gonna take some time. So now all the components are downloaded, so click on this finish button and Android Studio will be opened. But at this point inside Android Studio, we cannot create a Flutter project. And to create a Flutter project, we need to install Flutter plugin. So in the side pane, click on plugins and then search for Flutter. So Flutter. And there you can see the result. So the first result is this Flutter plugin. So just click on this install and it will gonna ask you to accept these conditions. So just accept it. And there you can see the Flutter plugin is installed and it is asking to restart IDE. So click on this button and our Android Studio will be restarted. And there you can see Android Studio is restarted and now we got this new Flutter project button, and earlier this button was not there. So it means that now inside Android Studio we can create a Flutter project. So now at this point inside Android Studio we can create a new Flutter project and then we can run that Flutter project on Android device. But we cannot run that Flutter project on iOS because for iOS we need to install another software called Xcode, and then by combining this Android Studio and Xcode we will be able to run Flutter applications on iOS and Mac devices. So the next step is installing Xcode inside our MacBook. You need to open App Store inside your Mac. So inside Launchpad search for App Store and you will find it here. And now inside App Store simply search for Xcode. After that press enter and you will see this first result. So this is the software which we are going to download. So you can click on it and its home page will be opened. So now you can simply click on this get button and then click on the install button, and this software will gonna start downloading, and once you will gonna download it, it will gonna show you an open button here. So once Xcode will be installed, you will be able to see this open button, and upon clicking on it, Xcode will be opened. Or you can also check Launchpad and there you will also find Xcode icon. So just click on it and it will be launched in just a second. So when for the first time it will be opened, it will gonna ask you to agree with these terms and conditions. And there you need to provide the password of your Mac to agree with them. And then you will see this window, and here you can select the devices for which you want to develop the applications. So by default Mac OS and iOS will be selected, so you can just select both of these and then click on install button and it will gonna install some additional components. And once that process is finished, you will see this what's new in Xcode window. So here you can simply click on continue button and you will be able to see this window for Xcode. So once Xcode is installed and it is launched, you will be able to see a window similar to this one. And here you can create a new project in Xcode, or you can open an existing project. So after installing Xcode, you need to click on this Xcode button in the top left corner, and then you can click on this preferences. And here you need to go to this location tab and then you need to select a value inside this command line tools. So by default there will not be any value selected here. So you can click on this drop down and you will be able to see the name and version of your Xcode. So just simply select it and we are all set to build iOS applications inside Flutter. So just close this window and then open Android Studio. And now inside Android Studio we can create a new Flutter project and then we can also run this project inside Android and iOS. So let's start by creating a new Flutter project. So click on this new Flutter project button. And here in the side pane you need to select Flutter because we want to create a new Flutter project. Then click next. And here you need to assign a name to your project. Like I will gonna name it as first app. And then you can select your project location here. So by default the studio project folder will be selected and it is created by Android Studio. And then we got the language selection here. So we will gonna use Kotlin for Android and Swift for iOS. And after doing that you can select the platforms. Like if you want to build this application only for Android and iOS, then you can uncheck this Linux, Mac OS, Web and Windows. And if you want to build it for all of these platforms, then keep them selected and click on this create button so that our new Flutter project will be created. And there you can see our new Flutter project is created, and as it's our first project, so it will gonna download few files. So let's wait for these files or packages to be downloaded. So now the files are downloaded and our Flutter project is ready. So when we create a new Flutter project, by default it provides us a counter application. So now firstly we are going to install this counter application inside an Android device or inside an Android emulator. And then we are also going to install it inside an iOS simulator. So firstly, we are going to install the starter application inside an iOS simulator, and then we are also going to install it inside an Android emulator. So to open an Android simulator here, you can click on this drop down and you will see this option open iOS simulator. So just click on it and it will gonna launch this simulator here. So there you can see a simulator or a clone for iPhone 14 Pro Max is opened. And it will gonna take few seconds and then it will be ready. And after that we are going to install the starter application inside this iOS simulator. And there you can see the iOS simulator is ready. And now to install our application on this iOS simulator, what we can do is to select it here in this drop down, and there you can see it is already selected. So after selecting it, click on this run main ... and our application will be installed inside this iOS simulator in few seconds. And there you can see our application is installed inside this iOS simulator. So this is the default counter application provided by Flutter. And here when you will click on this button, this count will gonna increase. So now we have successfully set up Flutter in Mac OS, and then we have also created a new Flutter project, and we are able to install this Flutter project inside an iOS simulator. And now the next step is installing this starter application inside an Android emulator. So to install this starter application inside an Android device, you can either connect your mobile with this MacBook or you can create an Android emulator. So here let's minimize the simulator and then click on this device manager icon. And there you can see a default Android emulator created by me. But in your case you might not see anything here but a create Android emulator button. So upon clicking on this button you will see a dialog similar to this one. And here you can select the device for which you want to create an emulator. Like we are going to select Pixel 7 and then click next. And there you will be able to see the list of Android versions. So here you can select the latest version or the versions you like. Like we are going to select this Android 14. So just select it and then click on this download button. So before creating an Android emulator containing Android 14, we need to download the zip file for Android 14. And there you can see this download started. So now we need to wait for this download to be completed, and then we are going to create an Android emulator and install our application inside it. So now the downloading process is finished, so just click on this finish button, and after that you can see this Android version which is currently downloaded inside your Mac OS. So just simply select it and then click next, and after that you can select the orientation of the device and then click finish, and our Android emulator will be created. So there you can see after creating it, we got this Pixel 7 which is containing Android 14. So to launch this Android emulator, click on this run button, and after that minimize this bottom box and also minimize this top box so that we can see the emulator here clearly, and it will be there in just a second. And there you can see the emulator is started, and you can see the basic interface of this particular Android device. So once it is ready, you can simply select it from this drop down. So there you can see this Pixel 7, so just select it. And after that, we are going to install the application inside this Android emulator. So now our application is installed inside this Android emulator. So let's increase its size so that we can see things clearly. And here upon click on this button, this count is increasing. Hello guys, Hamza here. I just want to let you know that this video is just the first part of our complete Flutter and DeepSeek course. The complete course is around 4 hours long, and it includes all source code that we write in this course. Every section has before and after source code, so you can easily code along with me. Apart from that, you will get a certificate upon completion which you can add to your resume. And the course comes with a 30 days money back guarantee. So if you are not satisfied, just simply ask for a refund. So if you are interested, then I will put a link down below, and we are offering a huge discount to first 70 students. And now let's continue to the next lecture. So now let's start by setting up the environment for Flutter app development. And for this purpose, we need to download Flutter SDK, which is Flutter Software Development Kit, and we need to put it inside our system. And to do that, you need to open your browser, and here you can search for Flutter SDK. And there you can see the results, and the first link is this flutter.dev. So click on it and the home page for Flutter will be opened. And there you can read about different features which Flutter provides. But you can see this get started button at the top right corner. So we are going to click here, and it will gonna take us to this page where we can select our platform. So as we are using Windows, so select it. And after that, it will gonna ask you that for which particular platform you want to build applications. So for now, we are going to select Android here, and then you can see this section, and here firstly you can read the minimum hardware requirements, like the minimum CPU cores should be 4 and the RAM should be 8. Apart from that, the resolution will be this one, and you should have minimum 11 GB space inside your system. But these requirements are generally met for all the systems. So after looking at them, you can scroll down, and there you will find this section to download and install Flutter. And here you can see this Flutter Windows stable.zip. So you need to download this zip file, and it contains Flutter SDK. And then we are going to put it inside our system. So firstly click on it, and it will gonna start downloading Flutter SDK for us. Like there you can see this download started, and it will gonna take few minutes to complete. So now the zip file is downloaded, and we need to firstly unzip it. So here we are going to extract it using WinRAR, but you can use any extraction software. So now the extraction is completed, and we got this folder, and inside this folder you can see we got this Flutter folder, and this Flutter folder contains Flutter Software Development Kit. So we are going to put it inside our Windows directory, although it is not necessary and you can put it anywhere, but we are going to select Windows directory. So simply cut it from here and go inside C drive, and here we are simply going to paste it. So now after putting this folder here, we have added Flutter SDK inside our system. But at this point, this Flutter SDK can only be accessed from this Flutter folder. So it means that we cannot access it outside of this Flutter folder. Like here in the search field, if I will type cmd, then it will gonna open command prompt for me. And then if I will type the command flutter doctor, and this command is used to analyze Flutter which is installed inside your system. So if I will type it and press enter, you can see it is not recognizing Flutter as a command. So it means that we cannot access Flutter from here, from this C drive. But if I will open this Flutter folder and then go inside bin, and here I will open cmd again, so type cmd. And now here if I will type the same command, which is this flutter doctor, and press enter, now you can see it returned this output that Flutter version 3.22.3 is installed inside our system, and apart from that it has returned some other information as well. But now to access Flutter from anywhere inside our computer, we need to set environment variable, and to do that you can simply right click on this PC and go to properties, and here select this advanced system settings, and then select this environment variables. And now here we need to add the path of our Flutter bin folder to access it from anywhere inside our computer. And you can directly type environment variable here and you will be able to see this window, and then you can open environment variables. So now we need to open our Flutter folder and then inside it go to bin. After that copy the path of this Flutter bin and then open this environment variable window. And here in the system variables you need to find the key which is path, and if there is no variable with the name path, then you can add a new variable, and here you can specify the variable name to path, and then in the value you can simply paste the path of bin folder which we copied. But in our case we already got this path here, so I will gonna double click, and now here I will gonna add the path which we copied. So there you can see C, Flutter and bin. After that press OK and then press OK again. And now we are going to close this window. And after doing that we will go inside our C drive and then open cmd again. And here we are going to type this flutter doctor command. Now press enter and you can see the same detail here, so it means that Flutter is set up successfully inside our system, and now we can access Flutter from anywhere inside our Windows PC. So now after setting up Flutter, the next step is installing Android Studio. So at this point we have set up Flutter SDK inside our system. But now to develop Flutter applications we need to install some IDE like Android Studio or Visual Studio, where we are going to write the code for building our Flutter applications. So as we are going to use Android Studio, so we need to firstly install it. And here when we are running Flutter Doctor, we are getting a lot of information. And this information is about the status of Flutter inside our system. Like you can notice that Flutter is successfully installed inside our system and we got this green tick. But here you can notice that for Android Studio we got this warning that it is not installed. So now the next step is installing Android Studio. And to do that you need to open your browser and then you can search for Android Studio. And here you can see the results. So open this first link, which is this developer.android.com studio. And now here you can simply download latest version of Android by clicking on this download Android Studio button. And here you need to firstly accept their terms and then click on this download button and our Android Studio will gonna start downloading. And there you can see the download started and it will gonna take few minutes to complete. So now the download is completed and we got this Android Studio.exe file. So now to install Android Studio, double click on it and it will gonna open the setup for Android Studio installation. And there you can see the setup for Android Studio. So click next and then select the location where you want to install Android Studio. So I will gonna keep the default location, then press next and then click on this install button and the installation will gonna start. So here the setup is completed, so press next and then finally click finish and it will gonna launch Android Studio for us. So there you can see it is firstly asking that whether we want to import some settings or not. So we will gonna select do not import setting, then press OK. And after that you will see this window, so press next and then you need to select the install type. So you got this standard and custom option, so we will go with standard. And after that it will gonna download these tools which will be required inside Android Studio. So press next and then you need to click accept here, and after that accept these licenses as well. Now press finish and it will gonna start downloading those tools for us. And once those tools are downloaded, they will be included inside Android Studio and later they will be used while building our mobile applications. So now let's wait for these files to be downloaded. So now all the components are downloaded, so click finish. And then you will see this window, and here you can create a new project inside Android Studio or open an existing one. But to create a new Flutter project, there is a separate button with the title New Flutter Project, and it is not there. And the reason is right now we have just installed Android Studio and we did not set up Flutter inside Android Studio. And to do that you need to go to plugins, and there you need to install two plugins inside Android Studio. So the first plugin which you need to install is called Dart, and Dart is the official language for Flutter. So you need to install Dart plugin inside Android Studio. So there you can see this plugin, so click install and this plugin will be installed in just a second. And there you can see this plugin is installed. And the second plugin which we need is called Flutter. So you can search for Flutter here, but in our case we can already see it here. So click on install and this plugin will also be installed. And there you can see this plugin is installed, and now it requires us to restart Android Studio. So click on this restart IDE button and then press this restart. And there you can see Android Studio is restarted and we got this new Flutter project button here. So it means that Android Studio is successfully installed and Flutter is successfully configured inside Android Studio. And now if you will gonna open command prompt and write the same Flutter Doctor command here, you will be able to see the warning for Android Studio is gone. So there you can see now the warning for Android Studio is gone, and the only issue we have is regarding Android toolchains, and we are also going to correct them. So to resolve this first issue, you need to install command line tools for Android Studio. So open Android Studio and here you can go to more actions and then click on this SDK manager. And now here you can go to SDK tools and select this Android SDK command line tools. And after that click apply and this tool will be downloaded and added inside Android Studio. So press OK and this download is started. So let's wait for this download to be completed, and after that this warning will be gone from Flutter Doctor. So now these tools are downloaded, so click finish and after that click apply. Now press OK and this window will be closed. And after doing that, let's run Flutter Doctor again. And there you can see now upon running this command we did not get any error. There is only one warning, and that is about Android licenses. So this command line tools error is now gone. So now to resolve this final warning you need to run this command inside your command prompt. So you can simply copy this command and after that you can paste it here inside CMD. Now press enter. And there you can see it wants us to review licenses that has not been accepted. And here we are going to pass Y because we want to accept them. And after that pass Y here as well. And then again type Y. And there you can see after accepting multiple times we got this all SDK package licenses accepted. So now after that if we will run Flutter Doctor again, now you can see everything is set up correctly, so we did not get any error or any warning. So it means that we are ready to develop our Flutter applications. Welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, you will learn to create an Android virtual device inside Android Studio. So, an Android emulator or an Android virtual device is the replica of a real Android device which will be running on your Windows PC. So basically, we are going to open an Android phone here on screen, and later we are going to install our applications on that device for testing it. So how we can create these Android emulators inside Android Studio? So to create this emulator, you need to click on this more actions and then go to this virtual device manager. And if you are using some older version of Android Studio, then you will find this option for Android virtual device. So once you will click there, you will see this option for creating a virtual device. So click on it, and then here you need to select the device which you want to create. Like you can create different phones, tablets, Wear OS, desktop, TV, automotive, and so on. So as phone is selected, so we can see the list of available devices. So you can select any device that you like. Like I will gonna select this Pixel 7 Pro and then press next. And here you need to select the Android version which you want to install on that particular device. So for now, as the stable version is Android 14, so we are going to download this Android 14. And to do that, you can simply click on this download button and this download will gonna start. And once this download is completed, after that our Android emulator will be ready. So now let's wait for this download to be completed. So now the Android version is downloaded, so click finish, and after that you can select the downloaded version here which is Android 14 and then press next, and here you can select the orientation of your device and then click finish, and our new Android emulator will be created, and there you can see this emulator. And now to launch it, you can simply click on this run button. So now the emulator which we just created is launched, and you can see this Android device here, and it has a lot of functionality which is similar to your real Android device. And while building our mobile applications, we can install Android applications on this device and then we can test them. And we are going to do this thing later inside our course. Welcome to this lecture. So now let's start building our first Gen AI powered application in Flutter. And for that purpose, you need to open your Android Studio and create a new Flutter project. So I click here. And then you need to make sure that Flutter is selected here. After that, press next. And then here you can name your project. So we can name it like My Chatbot. After that, you need to select your project location and then click create, and our new Flutter project will be created. So there you can see our new Flutter project is created. So let's firstly install the starter application inside an emulator and see what does it contain. And after that, we are going to build the GUI for our chatbot application. So to install this application, you can either use an Android emulator or an iOS emulator. So in our case, we are going to launch an Android emulator here, and inside our running device section, you can see it is running here. And now I will gonna install the application inside it. So click on this run button and our application will be installed inside it. So now our application is installed inside the simulator and we got this starter application. So this is a counter application, and here if you will press on this button, this count will gonna increase. So when you create a new Flutter project, you will get this counter application. And after creating this project, it's time to build the GUI for our simple chatbot application. And we are going to keep things very simple at the start. So it means that we are going to build this very simple GUI where user can enter the question which he want to send to chatbot in the bottom. After that, he will gonna click on the send button, and we are going to pass his question or query to our Gen AI model like DeepSeek. And after that, we are going to show the response of Gen AI model in the middle. So that will be a very simple GUI which we are going to build. And to build this GUI, we need to make changes inside this main dot dot. So basically when we create a new project, it got only one single dot file and it will be present inside this lib folder, and it is this main dot dot. And inside this file, if you will scroll down, you will find this my home page. So this my home page is actually a stateful widget, and in Flutter we use stateful widgets for creating different screens of our application. So in our case, the only screen we got is this my home page, and inside this screen we got the code for our counter application. But now we don't want to display this my home page inside our application, but instead we want to create a simple chat application GUI. So to add another screen inside our application, you can simply right click on this lib folder and then you can create a new dot file, and we can name this dot file as chat screen and then press enter, and you can see this new file is created. And inside it we are going to create another stateful widget to create a new screen. So to create it, you can write STF and you will see this option for creating a new stateful widget. So select it and this code will be added, and here you can type the name of screen, which will be chat screen, and that's it. So after doing that, you will gonna notice some errors here. So these are because of the library. So let's import the library and the error is gone. So now after creating this chat screen, we need to display it to the user on screen. So it means that we are not going to display this my home page when the application will be opened. Instead, we are going to display this chat screen. And to do that, you need to make the change here. So you can notice that we are calling this my home page here inside our my app class. So you can remove this my home page from here and write chat screen. After that, you can simply remove this my home page related code if you want. So minimize these two classes and then you can remove them. After that, simply click on this run main dot dot. And you can notice that the GUI of our screen is changed and we got this blank screen. So basically this is the current GUI for our chat screen. So inside chat screen, you can notice this build method, and inside this build method we have the code for the GUI. So right now we are displaying a placeholder here, so that's why we can see this view. But now we are going to create the GUI, and to do that, firstly we are going to add a scaffold widget. So in Flutter, this scaffold widget or scaffold view is used to create basic structure of a screen. Like when we added the scaffold widget, we can add an app bar or the body of our screen. So let's add an app bar. So this app bar is actually the top portion of screen, and we can specify it using this app bar class. And then inside it we can change its color. So you can set this background color property, and then you can select any color that you like. Like in our case, we are going to select this purple color and then press Ctrl S. And now you can see the GUI changed, so we got a screen with the app bar which contains this purple color. So now after adding the app bar, we need to create the body of the screen as well. And to do that, we can add a body property. So to add it, after this app bar, we can add a comma and then we can add a body property. So now here for this body, we can pass a widget which we want to display in the body of the screen. So for now, we are going to add a column widget here. And once you will add it, right click anywhere and format our code. And I have done that so that we can see things clearly. So right now inside our scaffold, we have added an app bar, and then in the body we have added a column widget. So in Flutter, column widget is used to place multiple widgets above one another on screen. So just like the column of a table, this column widget is used to place multiple widgets above one another. And inside it, we can add a children's list, and then inside it, we can add the widgets which we want to display to the user on screen. So the first widget or view which we need on screen is such view where user can enter his question. And one such view in Flutter is called text field. So we can add this text field widget here, and then you can press Ctrl S. So now after doing that, you will gonna notice this line on screen. So basically this is a text field widget which we added, and here we can type our questions. Like here I have typed this word question. So now in this field user will gonna write the question which he want to send to our GenAI model. After that we need to add a send button so that user can click on this button and we can send his question to our DeepSeek or GenAI model. But where we are going to add that button? So the ideal position is add that button to the right of this text field, because in chat application you know that we got this bar and then to the right we got a send button. So now to add a button to the right of this text field we are going to use a row widget. So firstly we can enclose this text field inside a row widget, and to do that click on this text field and press Alt plus enter and then select wrap with row. And now inside this row widget, to display a button we can use an icon button widget. So icon button, and then inside this widget we need to pass two things. Firstly we need to pass a method which will be executed when the button will be pressed, and secondly we need to pass the icon which will be displayed to the user on screen. So here to specify the icon we can use icon widget, and then inside it we can use this icons class, and then you will be able to see variety of icons which you can display. So as we are looking for a send icon, so I will gonna type the word send, and you can notice a lot of send icons. So let's use this one for now, and after that we need to pass this onPress method. So basically here we need to pass a method which will be executed once user will gonna click on that icon. So for now we can pass an empty method here, and we are going to look at it in just a minute. So now after doing that, if you will hard reload the application, you will gonna notice an error, and the error is because we have placed this text field directly inside this row widget. But the actual way is to specify the width of this text field while adding it inside a row widget, and to do that we can wrap this text field inside an expanded widget. So click on this text field and press Alt plus enter and then select this wrap with expanded. After that let's simply hard reload the application again. And there you can see now the text field is visible and also this icon button. So now you can see this text field is visible along with this icon. And after adding these two things, the third thing which we need is a widget or a view where we can display the response of our GenAI model. So to show that response, we are going to use a text widget. So above this bar, we are going to add a text widget, and then inside it we are going to display the result of the model. So for now we are going to display the text results to be shown here, and after that add a comma and press Ctrl S. And there you can see the text widget is added as well. So now after adding this text widget, we need to move this bar or this text field or button to the bottom, because this is where we got them inside actual chat applications. So to do that, what we can do is to wrap this text widget inside an expanded widget. And by doing that, this text widget will gonna take all available space and this widget will be pushed to the bottom. So press Ctrl S. And now you can see this bar is in the bottom. Similarly, we can wrap this text widget inside a center widget so that it will be displayed in the center of screen. So again hard reload, and now you can see it is in the center. So now by doing that, we have created a very simple GUI for our application. So in this application, user will gonna type his question here and then click on the send icon, and we are going to take the question of user from here and pass it to our DeepSeek or GenAI models. After that, we are going to get the response from the model and show it to the user on screen. And to do that, we need to use the API of GenAI model which we want to use. Like in our case, we want to use DeepSeek model inside this application. So to do that, we need to explore the API provided by DeepSeek. And we also need to learn about what is an API. And we are going to start that process inside our next lecture. So see you in the next lecture. welcome to this lecture. So after looking at the basic introduction of APIs, it's time to explore DeepSeek API. And to do that, you can simply open your browser and go to DeepSeek website. So DeepSeek, and then click on this first link, which is deepseek.com. And there you can see their homepage is opened, and here if you are able to see it in Chinese, you will see the English button, so you can press it and then it will be translated to English. And now you can see this API platform button, so click on it so that we can see the API detail of DeepSeek. So now you can see in my case this dashboard page is open, but if you will gonna open it for the first time, then you will gonna notice that it will gonna ask you to create an account or log in. So what you can do is to log in with Google or sign up with Google, and then you can select your Google account and then press continue. And once you will do that, you will see this dashboard page, and here the first thing which you can see is the balance. So in your case it will be 0. So what you have to do is to actually add minimum $2 here in DeepSeek, because DeepSeek API is not free, so you must have to charge some amount here to use their API. And to add some amount here, you can simply click on top up button and it will gonna show you the options. So what you can do is to select the amount to like $2, and then the next thing is selecting the PayPal or credit card. So if you got a PayPal account, you can click here, and if you got a debit card, you can press here. After that, you need to provide the detail of your relevant account and then click pay, and by doing that you will add some amount inside your DeepSeek account. And if you are going to add, for example, $2, then it will be more than enough for building and testing many chatbots. So the first thing is adding balance inside your DeepSeek account. And once you do that, you will be able to use their APIs. So once you will add some amount here, the next thing is looking at their API details or API documentation. And to do that, you can simply click on this docs button and it will gonna open some documentation. So here you can see the title, your first API call. So basically they are providing an example here how to make an API call for using DeepSeek model. So if you will scroll down, you will see this example section. So as you have already learned about the introduction of API and components of APIs, so you will find familiar things here. Like here, to make an API call for using a DeepSeek model, we need to hit this URL. So this will be our endpoint. After that, in the header, we need to pass these two things. So firstly, we are going to pass the content type to application JSON. So it means that we are telling the server that we are going to send the data in the form of JSON. And secondly, we are going to pass our DeepSeek API key. So we are going to generate an API key on DeepSeek and pass it in the header. After that, in the body, we are going to pass the data in the form of JSON. So this will be our body. So firstly, in the body, we are going to pass the model name which we want to use. Like here in this case, we are going to pass DeepSeek chat model. Similarly, we can specify other model name here as well. And then the second thing here is the list of messages. So here in this messages list, we are going to pass the question or the query which we want to send to DeepSeek model. And to specify it, we are going to specify an object similar to this one. And we are going to cover this thing in detail later. So right now inside this messages list, we got two objects. So this first message or this first object is for setting the behavior of DeepSeek model. And this second message is actually our query which we want to send to DeepSeek. So here we have set the role to user and the content to hello. So it means that user is sending a query hello to DeepSeek model. So when we are going to make this API call, it will gonna send hello to DeepSeek model and DeepSeek will gonna return the response. And we need to get that response and show it to the user on screen inside our application. So this is a sample structure of API call which we need to make for using DeepSeek model. Similarly, here at the top you can see two popular models provided by DeepSeek. So firstly we got this DeepSeek chat model, and secondly this DeepSeek reasoner model. So we can specify either one of these while making an API call, and we are going to cover these details later as well. Similarly here, after looking at this your first API call, we got this model and pricing section. So here you can see a lot of detail, and we are going to cover these details once we are going to make an actual API call from our mobile application. After that, things will be familiar for us and we can easily understand them. So right now we have just looked at some basic detail of DeepSeek API, and now it's time to use this API inside our Flutter application and explore things further. And we are going to do that inside our next lecture. So see you in the next lecture. Hello guys, Hamza here. I just want to let you know that this video is just the first part of our complete Flutter and DeepSeek course. The complete course is around 4 hours long, and it includes all source code that we write in this course. Every section has before and after source code, so you can easily code along with me. Apart from that, you will get a certificate upon completion which you can add to your resume. And the course comes with a 30 days money back guarantee. So if you are not satisfied, just simply ask for a refund. So if you are interested, then I will put a link down below, and we are offering a huge discount to first 70 students. And now let's continue to the next lecture. So what is an API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. So in simple words, it is a method using which two computer programs communicate with each other. So let's understand API with the help of an example. So suppose we want to build a weather application in which user will enter the name of a city, and our application will gonna display the current weather of that city. So to build this application we need weather data, and to get this data we can either use a weather platform like Open Weather app, or we can collect this data by ourselves. So as we cannot collect the data of every city by ourselves, so we can use this weather platform which collects the data from all the cities. So now from our application we are going to pass the name of city to this platform, and this platform will gonna return us the detail or weather detail of that city. So there will be a communication between our application and this platform to achieve that, and this communication is possible because of APIs. So to achieve that we are going to use the API provided by this platform. So in actual, from our application we are going to hit a URL provided by this platform along with the city name. And hitting this URL is actually called making an API call. So when we say we are making an API call, then it means that we are hitting a URL from our application along with some data. And when that URL will be executed, the servers of that platform will gonna take the data from that URL and return the result based upon the URL. So when we are going to hit this URL, then the server knows that they need to return the weather detail of this particular city, and once they are going to return the data we can read it and display it to the user as per our needs. So this is the whole process of making an API call. So when we are using an API of a platform, we are basically hitting some URLs with instructions provided by that platform, and hitting those URLs will gonna provide the data inside our application which we can display to the user on screen. And now let's look at components of API calls, and the first one is endpoint. So endpoint is actually the URL which we are hitting. So you can consider endpoint as a specific address where we are sending our request. So in case of our weather application we are hitting this URL. So this first part of this URL is our endpoint, and it is indicating that we want to get current weather data. So when this endpoint will be executed, a specific function will be executed on server. And the next thing is parameter. So parameters are extra details which you add to your request to specify that which certain data you want to get. So in case of our weather application, we are passing this parameter with the name city, and the value of this parameter will be the name of city for which we want to get current weather data. So this part is the endpoint, and this part which is after this question mark is the parameter. And after parameters, the next thing is header. So headers are extra pieces of information which you include inside your request to tell the server about the data which you are sending. So in header, we usually pass a field called content type, and there we can specify the type of data or content we are sending. And then we usually pass an API key in the header, which is used by server to authenticate that whether we can access their API or not. And we are going to use these things inside our application. And the next thing is the body of our API request. So body is the part where we put the actual data which we want to send to the server. So let's say we are creating a new account by making an API call, and in that case we need to send the username and the email to the server. So we are going to include this information in the body of our API request, and our header will gonna indicate that what type of data we are including in the body of our API request. And the next thing is HTTP methods. So when we make API calls, then from our application we need to select a property called HTTP method, and after selecting this HTTP method we make API calls. So these methods are actually verbs that tell the server what action you want to perform. So we can select 4 different HTTP methods, and they are get, post, put and delete. So here the first one is get, so it is used when we want to make an API call to get some data from the server. Like we are making an API call to get the weather data, so in that case we are going to use get HTTP method. And if we want to send some data to the server, then we use a method called post. So you can consider like creating a new account, so in that case we are going to send username and password or email address. So in that case we are going to use post method. And if you want to update something on the server, like changing user email address or username, then you use a method called put. So this is basically for updating data on server. And the final method is delete. So as the name suggests, it is used to delete some data from a server. Like if user want to delete a certain profile, then he will gonna use this delete method. So these are different components of API, and we are going to use them while making API calls inside our application. So now after exploring the API of DeepSeek a little, it's time to make that API call inside our Flutter application. So basically once user will gonna type his question here and click on send button, we need to make that API call. And for making this API call inside Flutter, we are going to use an external library. So what you can do is to open your browser, and inside a new tab you can open this site pub.dev. So this pub.dev is actually an official package repository for Dart and Flutter packages. So you will find many useful libraries here. So in our case, we are going to use this HTTP library. So click on it and its documentation will be opened. And here you can simply click on this copy icon to copy the dependency of this library. Now open your Android Studio project, and here inside pub-spec you need to add that dependency. So here in the dependency section, simply paste it. After that, click on this pub-get so that this library will be downloaded and added inside our project. And here you can see the message downloading packages. So basically by adding this line here, we are downloading and adding that library inside our project. And now you can see the result. So this library is successfully added inside our project. So now after adding the library, using it, we need to make an API call, and we are going to make that call inside chat screen. So here what we can do is to create a method, and we can name it like ask DeepSeek. And we are going to call this method once user will gonna click on the send button. So to do that, inside this on press, we can simply call this ask DeepSeek. And that's it. So now each time user will gonna click on this button, this method will be executed, and inside this method we are going to make the API call. And to make this call we need to look at the API documentation of DeepSeek again. So open your browser and here go to this page, and then if you will scroll down in the side pane you will find this API reference, and here after introduction you will find this chat section. So click on this create chat completion and it will gonna open this detail. So basically here we got the detailed instructions for making the API call. So you can see for using chat model of DeepSeek we need to make a post API call. So this is the first thing which we need to see, and based upon it we are going to write the code here. So inside this ask DeepSeek we are going to call a post method, and this method is present inside this HTTP library. Similarly, if we want to make a get API call we are going to call get method. And now inside this method the first thing which we need to pass is the URL which we want to hit, and we are going to pass that URL in the form of this URI object. So what you can do is to use this URI class, and then you can use this parse function. And now inside this parse we need to pass our endpoint, and we can take that endpoint from here. So this is the URL which we need to hit for making an API call. So simply copy it and then paste it here. And after that inside this post method we need to specify the second thing, which is the header. So if you will write header you will see this header section, and as you know in the header we need to specify the content type to application JSON and also our API key. So to specify these things here, what you can do is to add curly braces here, then in between you can specify the things which are here in the header. So what I will gonna do is to make a copy of these 3 lines. So let's copy them and then we can paste them here. After that remove this header symbol because we don't need it. And then we are going to remove this backslash as well and add a comma. After that we need to separate the key from the value. So here the key is content type, so you can add a single quotation here so that it will be a separate string, and then add one here, and now you can see the error is gone. Similarly do that here and also here. And that's it. So now by doing that we have specified 3 things in the header. So firstly we are telling the content type is application JSON. So it means that we are going to pass the data in the body in the form of JSON. Then we are passing this accept to application JSON. So it means that we are also accepting the data or the response of DeepSeek will be in JSON format. And then the third thing is authorization. So here we need to pass our API key. So you need to replace this token with the API key which you are going to generate on DeepSeek. So how we can do that? So to generate this API key you can simply go to DeepSeek dashboard, and here you will find this API key section. Then here you can click on this create a new API key, and then you can pass any name that you like I will gonna pass my app, and then click on this create API. Now simply copy this API key, and then you can replace this token with the API key, and that's it. And here you need to make sure that you will secure this API key, because if someone has this API key he can make API calls from your behalf and your balance will be deducted. And later we will also learn that how we can securely pass API keys inside Flutter. So now after doing that, the third thing which we need to pass inside this post method is the body. So here we can add a body tag, and then in the body we need to specify the model name and other information in JSON format. So you can again open the detail, and now you can see in the body we need to pass this messages list and also the model name. Similarly there are other parameters which we can also pass, and we are going to cover them later. But now in the body, to specify the data in the form of JSON, we can use this JSON encode function, and then inside it we can add these curly braces, and here we can specify things one by one. So firstly we are going to specify our model name. So pass model, and then in the value section we can copy the model name, so it will be DeepSeek Chat. So simply copy it and then paste it here. After that add a comma, and now the second thing is our list of messages. So messages, and then to specify the messages object, open the detail again, and you know that we need to specify an array here. So to specify it, you can simply copy it starting from that point till this, and then you can paste it here. After that add a semicolon, and that's it. So right now we are simply calling this post method and passing our API endpoint. Then in the header we are passing our API key along with this content type. And after that in the body we are specifying the model name and the list of messages. So here in this list the first object is actually for setting the behavior of DeepSeek, so you can ignore it for now. But the second object should be our query. But right now we are simply setting hi here. So instead of this hi, we need to pass the question which user entered inside this text field. So we need to actually get the text which user entered here in this text field and pass it here. Or we can wait for it and firstly test whether we are successfully making an API call here or not. And to test it, what we can do is to assign the response of this post method to a variable and then print that response. So what you can do is to create a variable and name it response, and assign the result of this post method to this response. And as this post method will gonna make an API call, so it will gonna take some time. So we can add an await keyword here, so we will wait until we will get some response. And when we use this await keyword, we need to make this method async, so it means that this method will be executed asynchronously, and inside it we will wait until we will get the response from API. And once we will get the response from API, then we can show that response or print its detail in the console. And to do that we can simply use this print function, and inside it we can use this response dot body. So basically we are showing the body of the response returned by this API call, and there we will be able to see whether we have made that request successfully or not. So now after making the changes, simply click on this top main dot and then install the application again inside the emulator. And this time once we are going to click on the send button, this ask DeepSeek method will be executed, and inside it we are making this API call. So now our application is installed again, and now let's test it by clicking on this send icon. So I will click here, and after that you need to open your run section. So here in the run section we will get the detail, and there you can see we got some detail printed here, and this detail is actually containing the line hello, how I can assist you today. So this is actually the response returned by DeepSeek model when we made an API call with message hi. So we sent hi and DeepSeek says hello, how I can assist you today. And for now we have printed this information in the console, but later we are going to display that information here in the middle of screen. But right now we are able to make an API call successfully inside our application. So now after making the API call successfully, it's time to get actual result from the response and show it to the user on screen. So right now when we are making this API call, we are getting this response, and here our actual result is this one. So now we need to learn that how we can fetch it from this whole response. And to understand that you need to open documentation, and here if you will scroll down after the request section you will find this response section. But to see this response we need to make the API call. So what you can do is to copy your API token from here, and then you can paste it in this request section, and then we can click on this send API request. And there you can see we got the response here, and to see it clearly I can simply expand it, And now you can see the structure of response returned by DeepSeek. So we are getting a JSON object here which contain an ID, an object, date, and the model which is used. And then we get this choices array. So in this choices array, basically we are getting the possible response for our query. So there may be one or more than one objects inside this choices array. So if we got one object here, then it means that model returned one response. And if we got two objects here, then it means it returned two responses, and so on. Similarly, in the bottom we got the usage section. So here we got our usage detail. Like you can see the prompt token property here. So it is indicating the number of tokens which we passed inside our query. So we passed 9 tokens, or our question or query contained 9 tokens. And then we got completion tokens. So this is basically the number of words which DeepSeek returned, and then we got the total, and so on. But now our main interest is this choices array. So in this choices array we got a single object, which means that we got one response, and to access it inside this response we got a message object. And this message object has a role property. So this is telling us that this message is sent by our assistant or our DeepSeek model, and then this content contains the actual answer. So now we need to fetch this content property of this message object which is present inside this choices array. So this may seem a little bit confusing for you, but once we will implement it, it will be clear. So now inside our application we need to fetch that content property from this whole JSON, and to do that we are going to write the code. So firstly we are going to check that if our API call was successful and we got the response or not. So if our API call is successful, then our status code will be 200. So we can add an if condition here, and then we can check the response.status code. So if the status code is 200, then it means that our API call was successful. And then here we can get the response returned by our API using this response.body. So here this response.body is actually returning the result in the form of string, but we need to get it in the form of JSON so that we can easily fetch the result. So to convert this string into JSON, we can use JSON decode function. So write JSON decode, and then inside this function pass this response.body. And now this function will gonna convert this string into a JSON object, and we can assign the result to like JSON data. So this will be the variable containing our response in the form of JSON. And now to access this content property, which is our actual result, we can use this JSON data object. So here you can write JSON data and then add curly braces, and here we need to specify the object name which we want to access. So as you know, our content is present inside message, and this message is present inside choices. So firstly we need to access this choices array. So simply write choices here, and after that we need to get the first element of this array. So we are going to specify the index 0, and then inside that first element we got a message object, so we can specify that message here. And then inside that message object we got that content property, so we can specify that content here. And that's it. So now by doing that we are accessing the content property of first object of this choices array. So if you will look closely, we are accessing choices and then the message object, and after that the content property. So here after accessing this actual result, what we can do is to print it in the console to confirm it. So we can add this print here, and then we can comment the second print function so that we can see the answer clearly. And after doing that, let's simply restart our application. And there you can see we got the response, hello, hi, how I can assist you today. So it means that we are able to successfully fetch only the answer from our DeepSeek model response. And now we need to show this response to the user in the middle of screen. And also we need to pass the actual question of user to our DeepSeek model. So now let's firstly send the actual question which user entered here in this text field to our DeepSeek model, and then we are going to show the actual response in the middle of screen. So the first thing which we need to do is to get the text which user entered here in this text field. And to get that text, we need to create a text editing controller object. So this text editing controller is actually used to get the value of a text field. So we can name it text editing controller and then call its constructor. After that, we need to attach this text editing controller to our text field. So inside text field, pass this controller and then specify this text editing controller object. So now after attaching it with this text field, using this text editing controller, we can get the text which is present inside it. And here inside our ask DeepSeek method, we can simply replace this hi with the text which user entered here. So what you can do is to use this text editing controller and access the text property, and that's it. So now when we are going to make the API call, the text which user entered here will be passed to our DeepSeek model. And now the second thing is showing the response of DeepSeek model. So to show that response in the middle of screen, we need to create another variable, and we can name this variable like results. And for now it contains the text like results to be shown here. After that, we are going to display the value of this result inside our text widget. So here we can display our results variable. And then once we are going to get the results of DeepSeek, we are going to store those results inside that result variable. So write result here and assign the value. Similarly, remove this bracket, and that's it. So now once we are going to get the response from DeepSeek, we are assigning it to this result variable. And as we are displaying the value of this result variable inside our text widget, so our result will be visible here. But here we need to do one final thing, and that is calling setState block. And inside it we can pass this result variable. So basically by doing that here means that we are updating the GUI wherever this result variable is being used. So now after making these changes, let's simply restart our application. And then we are going to pass our question or query here. So I will gonna type like how are you, and then click on the send button. Now you can see the text here is changed, and this is I am just a computer program, so I don't have feelings. Similarly, you can try to write a different query here and you will be able to see the response of DeepSeek here. So it means that we have completed a very simple flow, which is writing our question or query here and then passing it to DeepSeek and getting the response from DeepSeek. And now we need to fine tune few things and explore it further. And we are going to do that inside our upcoming lectures. So see you in the next lecture. Hello guys, Hamza here. I just want to let you know that this video is just the first part of our complete Flutter and DeepSeek course. The complete course is around 4 hours long and it includes all source code that we write in this course. Every section has before and after source code, so you can easily code along with me. Apart from that, you will get a certificate upon completion which you can add to your resume. And the course comes with a 30 days money back guarantee. So if you are not satisfied, just simply ask for a refund. So if you are interested, then I will put a link down below, and we are offering a huge discount to first 70 students. And now let's continue to the next lecture. So now after passing our question to DeepSeek and getting the response, let's fine tune things a little and they will gonna help us test this application. So the first thing which we are going to do is, once we are going to click on this icon and this question is passed to DeepSeek, we are going to clear the text here. And to do that, inside this ask DeepSeek, we can get the value of our text field using this text editing controller .text, and we can assign it to a variable with name like input text. And after that we can pass this input text here. And after doing this, we can simply clear the value of this text field using this text editing controller. So this text editing controller dot clear function will gonna remove the value which is present inside text field. And now after doing that, simply restart the application. And there let's type our simple query which will be like hello. And then click on the send icon, and there you can see as soon as I clicked here, the text here is removed. So this is an indication that our query is sent to DeepSeek model. And there you can see we also got the response here. So after making that improvement, the next thing is you can notice these characters after the response. So these characters does not make any sense. So these are actually the emojis which are returned by DeepSeek, but they are not properly decoded. So to display these emojis here, what you need to do is to decode response.body using UTF-8, because those emojis are using UTF-8 characters. So here what you can do is to use UTF-8.decode, and then inside it we can pass our body bytes of this response. So what you can do is to use this response and then access the body bytes. So this time we are getting the response body in the form of bytes, and firstly decoding it using UTF-8 and then converting it into JSON. So after doing that, let's simply restart our application. And then let's type our query which is like hello. And after that he will click on the send icon. And there you can see we got the response, hello, how can I assist you today? And then we got this emoji. So it means that now we are properly getting the response from DeepSeek and displaying it here. Similarly, inside this text field we can display some kind of hint to indicate that user need to write some text inside this text field. So what you can do is to set a decoration property for this text field, and then pass this input decoration class, and here we will get this hint text, and then we can specify like right here, and then let's simply restart our application. And there you can see when our application is opened, we got this text right here. So this is a hint which we are displaying here. Similarly, we can make a lot of small adjustments and improvements inside this application, but as later we are going to build a professional chatbot application GUI, so we are going to apply those improvements there. But for now, we have built a very simple chatbot application in Flutter. So now we are using the chat model of DeepSeek inside our Flutter application. So we are able to pass our queries and get the response of DeepSeek inside our application. But here in the documentation page, you can see we got two possible values for the model type. So for now we are using DeepSeek chat model, but we can also use DeepSeek reasoner model if we want to. And the process of using this model is also very simple. So what we need to do is to just change the model name while making an API request. Like here for now we are using DeepSeek chat. So instead of this DeepSeek chat we need to use DeepSeek reasoner. So let's firstly use this model and then we will see the detail of this model. So let's simply paste the name here and then click on this send API request. So there you can notice that this model is taking some more time to return the result, and the reason is this model do not just return the result by looking at the question. It tries to counter or think before returning a result. Like here you can see again we got a response, and here we got this choices array and this message object just like before, and then our actual answer is with this property content, and this is hello, how can I assist you today? So this is exactly the same answer which we got for the chat model, but here we got one more thing, and that is reasoning content. So here the model is actually thinking before returning the answer. So when we sent hi, the model thought that okay, the user just said hi, I should respond in a friendly and welcoming manner. Let me start with a greeting, maybe I can assist them today, and so on. So basically these are the things model thought before returning the response. So that's why the model is named as DeepSeek Reasoner. So now if you want to use this model inside your application, you can just simply open the application and here change this DeepSeek chat with Reasoner. And after that you don't need to make any change. We will get the result here just like before. And if you want to access this extra property, this reasoning content, then here inside our application you can make a copy of this line and change this content to reasoning content. And by doing that you will get that reason and you can also display it to the user. So this is a little thing about reasoning model or how you can use the other model provided by DeepSeek inside our application. So now let's build a beautiful chat application GUI for our chatbot, and then later we are going to build custom chatbots in Flutter and also explore other features of DeepSeek. So in this lecture we are going to start building a professional GUI and we are going to start with this bottom bar. So right now you can see we got a text field and this icon button here. So now we are going to improve their look, so you can go to your build method and there you can see this row widget is actually containing both text field and icon button. So firstly what we are going to do is to wrap this row widget inside a card widget. So select this row widget and press Alt plus enter. After that select wrap with widget and then apply a card widget here. So type card and card will be added. Now press Ctrl S. And there you can see the background of this bottom bar is changed and it is also bit circular. So what we can do is to zoom in a little so that we can see changes clearly. So there you can see this card is applied here. So now after applying this card we want to make it circular, and to do that we can set a shape property of this card widget. So shape, and the shape which we are going to use is rounded rectangle border, and inside it we can set the border radius property, and then we can set the value using border radius class. So border radius dot circular, and here we can apply a radius of like 50. So now press Ctrl S. And now you can see it is more rounded on the edges and it is looking much better. Similarly, we want to hide this line of text field because it is not looking good. So to hide this line, we can go to the decoration property of this text field. But before that, let's format our code. And then inside this input decoration, we can set the border. And here we are going to choose input border dot none because we don't want to show this line, so we want to remove it. And if you will press Ctrl S, you can notice that that line is gone. So now after applying these changes, we want to apply some space between this text and the border of this card widget, and we can do that by applying some padding on this row widget. So what you can do is to apply a padding around this row widget, and then we are going to use this edge inserts dot only because we only want to apply the padding to the left and to the right side, and this all will gonna apply the padding on all sides. So here we can set the left padding to like 15, and then we can set the right padding to 15 as well. And now press Ctrl S, and there you can see the padding is applied and this text is separated from the border of this card widget. Similarly, you can notice that this card widget is too attached with the bottom. So we want to apply some padding or some margin to the bottom and also to the left and right side. And to do that, we can set the margin property for this card widget. And here we can use edge inserts class. And then we can set a padding on all sides. So let's use a padding of 15 for now. So press Ctrl S. And there you can see now it is separated from the edges and looking much better. Similarly, you can notice that the color of this card is not white. So we can set the color property of this card and select the white color. Similarly, you can use any color that you like. And now press Ctrl S. And there you can see card is now white and it is looking much better. Similarly, you can notice we also got this icon button here. And here if you want, you can apply any color that you like. Like in our case, we are going to make it green. So here I will gonna set the color property for this icon. So colors dot green. and then press Ctrl S. And there you can see now this button is green and it is looking better. Similarly, as we have made our top bar or app bar purple, so we can use the same purple color here to have a uniform color scheme. So press Ctrl S. And now you can see it is matching with the app bar and looking even better. So now after working on the GUI of this bottom bar, the next thing is building a professional chat application GUI where we are going to display our sent queries or the answers of DeepSeek just like a normal chat application. And we are going to do that inside our next lecture. So see you in the next lecture. So now after working on this bottom bar, the next thing is building a chat application GUI or displaying our questions and answers of DeepSeek just like any other chat application. So to do that, we are going to use a library inside our application, and that library will be -chat. So you can open your browser and go to pub.dev, and there you can search for this -chat library. So type -chat2 and you will see this result. So this is a later version of this library which we are going to use. So click on it and the documentation is opened. So by using this library, we can create a professional chat application GUI, and we can also display images, videos and audios inside that chat conversation. So now we are going to use this library, and for that purpose, firstly copy the dependency by clicking on this icon. After that, go to your pub/spec file and paste it below this HTTP. Now click on this pub/get so that the library will be downloaded and added inside our project. And there you can see the library is successfully added inside our project. After that, open the documentation page and then scroll down, and you will find an example code section for using inside your application. So as we want to display a chat application GUI similar to this one, and for that purpose we need to add a widget called -chat inside our application GUI. And inside that -chat we are going to display our sent questions and the answers of DeepSeek. So inside our application we can go to the build method, and there you can notice for now we are displaying the results inside this text widget. But now we want to display a -chat widget here, so what we can do is to remove this center widget and also this text widget. Similarly, remove this parenthesis as well. And here we are going to use this -chat widget. So -chat, and you can see the option for this widget, so simply add it, and inside this widget we need to pass three things. So the main important thing is the list of messages which we want to display to the user. So it will gonna take a list of type chat message, and that list contain the messages which we want to display inside our application screen. And then we need to pass this current user. So this is actually a chat user object which will gonna tell this -chat that who is currently the sender of the messages. And it is necessary because we see the sender messages are on one side of screen and receive messages are on another side. And the third thing is this onSend callback. So this callback will be executed once we want to send some message using -chat. So let's add these parameters here one by one. So firstly, we are going to create a chat user object and pass it here. And we can take the help from this example section. So there you can see in this example section, they are creating a chat user object, and for the user, they are setting the ID, the first name and the last name. So what we can do is to make a copy of this code and add it inside our application. So here below this results we can paste it, and then we can specify, like I can specify my name here because I am the sender, and that's it. So I have created a chat user object for myself because I am sending the messages. Similarly, we need to create one chat user object for the DeepSeek as well, because from DeepSeek we are getting the reply. So here what we can do is to make a copy and paste it below, and then we can change this user to user DeepSeek. So I will write user DS here, and here it is important that we will use a different ID for this user, and then we can assign a name to it. So for now I can use like this DeepSeek, or you can pass any other name here. So now we created two user objects, one is for ourselves and other one is for DeepSeek, and now we can pass our user object here. and this error will be gone. So now dash chat know that we are the sender of the messages, or the sender has the name Hamza Asif. Similarly, the second important thing is this list of messages. So what we need to do is to declare a list of chat message above, or we can also take the help from this example section. So there you can see they are declaring and initializing a list of chat messages. So what you can do is to simply copy this list and paste them below these users. And now let's simply look at it. So there you can see they are declaring a list of chat message, and then inside that list they are putting one default chat message, and in this chat message they are specifying the text of the message, and then they are specifying the user, like who is sending this message, and third thing is the date and time. So what we can do is to remove this message, because we are going to add the message which we are sending to DeepSeek, or the reply of DeepSeek, inside this list, and once we are going to do that it will be visible on screen. So here, after declaring this list of chat messages, we are passing it here. And now the third thing is this onSend method. So as I told you that this method will be executed once we will try to send some message using this dash chat. So for now we can specify an empty method here, and later we are going to look at it. So for now specify this method and the error will be gone. So right now, or at this point inside our application, we have added this dash chat widget, and we have specified the list of messages and the user who is sending the messages. And now the next thing is putting a message inside this messages list. Once user will gonna type something here and click on the send button, and once we are going to add a chat message object inside this list, that message will be visible here just like any other chat application. So let's try that. So we are going to go inside our ask DeepSeek method, and here, after getting the text which user entered in the text field, we are going to create a new chat message object and add it inside this messages list. So we can use this messages.add and specify a chat message object. And now inside it we need to specify the sender of the message. So as this is a message which we are sending to DeepSeek, so we are going to specify the user to our user object. And then the second thing is the date time. So we can specify it using this date time dot now, because we are sending this message at this very moment. And then the third thing is the text. So we are going to pass the text which user entered in that text field. So specify this input text. And now here we need to do one final thing, and then we are going to test our application, and that is, once we are going to add a message inside messages list, we are going to call setState and pass this messages list. And by doing that, wherever this variable is being used, the changes will apply. So as we are using it here inside our GUI, so a new message will be visible on screen. So now after making these changes, simply restart your application, or you can simply click on this stop main ... and install it completely, so that all the changes are applied. And once your application is installed again and it is ready, you will see this GUI, and there you can notice we got another bar where we can type the message. So this is a bar provided by dash chat library, but we are not going to use it and we are going to hide it later. But for now we are going to type our message here, so hello, and then we are going to click on the send button. And as soon as I have done that, you can see a chat bubble appears here, and it is containing the text that we have sent to DeepSeek. Similarly, above we also got the time. So it means that we are successfully displaying messages just like any other chat application in Flutter. And now the next thing is displaying the response of DeepSeek just like any other message here. Similarly, we need to hide this second bar here as well. And we are going to do these things inside our next lecture. So see you in the next lecture. Hello guys, Hamza here. I just want to let you know that this video is just the first part of our complete Flutter and DeepSeek course. The complete course is around 4 hours long, and it includes all source code that we write in this course. Every section has before and after source code, so you can easily code along with me. Apart from that, you will get a certificate upon completion which you can add to your resume. And the course comes with a 30 days money back guarantee. So if you are not satisfied, just simply ask for a refund. So if you are interested, then I will put a link down below, and we are offering a huge discount to first 70 students. And now let's continue to the next lecture.